Hi everyone, Ted Simpson here. It's been a while since I've been on Twitch. Welcome. I don't have my full old setup that I used to anymore, so I'm going live with my phone. And look at that. Even brought out the old drop cloth there. Make sure it's all nice and suitably framed for everyone. So, here I am. I swear, it said I haven't streamed since 2023. I think that's wrong. I know I streamed before going to TwitchCon this past October. I think I did. Did I? I do a lot of regular YouTube recordings, but I haven't really been doing any live streams lately. I just didn't think it was that long. So a friend of mine and a student and live streamer was trying to find my Twitch channel, and she couldn't find it in my search, or in her search, and I couldn't find it in mine when I looked. I'm like, well, maybe it has been a while since I streamed. So I'm doing this stream just so my name will show up in searches now. I give out my Twitch channel to people who ask about it. I used to stream a weekly show back well, gosh, I guess it has been a few years now. Had a good time. I used to teach or stream classes on Wednesdays, and a lot of those streams ended up on my YouTube channel. Feel free to check out Nature's Brush Studio on the YouTube and see those old Twitch streams. Put my thin, even coat of the liquid white on here. Boy, look at this canvas. This is an old cheapy canvas I had. I'm not sure what's going on with it. It is the floppiest thing I've seen. Now, I just buy these canvases. I've been buying these same ones bulk for a few years now. And, well, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. But there's a way to fix it. And I'm going to show you here. What I'm going to do is just taking the canvas, I turn it around, and just a little bit of regular old water, I'm going to spritz the corners. And not going to do it right over where you could see it because I have some paint out there. I don't want to put water all over my oil paints. So look at that. Look how quickly it works too. It just tightens up a little bit. You got a loose canvas, spritz the back with some water, just a little. Sometimes if you over spritz, you'll get, well, you can kind of see a little tightening effect going on there. It'll start tightening it a little too much, but I'd rather it be just a little taut than that ridiculous looseness it was before. So, light touch. You can see your finger through the fingerprint there. You've got the right amount. Simple enough. Ooh, I better get some paper towels near me. I was going to stream back last month when I saw January 15th, this moon Misty started following me. And I'm like, man, it has been a while. And then when my fellow painter noticed that couldn't find my name, that just solidified it. So, simple scene here today. Titanium white, midnight black, a little Prussian blue, some Van Dyke brown. Maybe I'll add another color as we go through the painting here. So what I do, Bob was very smart. He locked his paints down to keep them from sliding, and it's also to prep and get the right amount of paint on your brush for whatever technique you're going to do that day. So I'm going to wipe some of the excess paint out of my 2-inch brush, and I'm going to come in here with a little bit of this Prussian blue. Notice I'm tapping and moving my brush a little bit side to side to get some paint evenly across the top. And any Bob Ross painting there, we got to start with our sky. So I got my big old 2-inch brush here. Boy, this really speeds it up. I teach classes all throughout Michigan. Occasionally I get to travel across the country, other states, teaching people the joy of painting in the style of Bob Ross. Being a certified instructor here, it's been my journey these past 8 years of teaching. Crisscross strokes, and you see here, the more you work it, you start turning it into a blend, and it softens and takes out all those brush marks. The more you work it, the softer it'll get. I'm going to take a little bit of that midnight black, and Prussian blue, and I'm going to do that again. I'm going to put some up here in the corner and feather it outwards. Meaning out from the corner, I guess in from the corner. Oop, happy accident. Let me just blend that away. Ooh, just like that. A little bit more of the paint, maybe a bit in this corner. Something like that. It does not take very much time or effort to bring in a sky. Already here. 7 minutes and no one's watching me. Well, that's all right. Now, with a clean dry brush, well, cleanish, I'm going to go over it here, working from the bottom up this time, giving any last little blends and smoothing motions. Now I think I'll hang on to that brush as my little blender tool, and I'm going to go in with that same color, a little bit of that Prussian blue, touch of the midnight black, just a little bit of color, just mashing it in the brush, getting it evenly distributed, and let's go ahead and swoop little half circles. See that? I'm looking for a distinct bottom edge this time. And now I got most of the paint off my brush. I'm just going to soften the top. You can swirl. Ooh, I had a little bit of paint still on there. Just soften that cloud. We're going to make kind of a stormy looking, imposing scene here. Maybe another one. Just randomly putting some stuff in there. Clean the brush. And then I'm going to stir and soften it. Just these little circular strokes, little crisscross strokes, little sideways strokes. And you can soften it as much as you like. You can make it just completely disappear into the scene here, if you want to. Did I just say that? If and you want to. Something like that. And I'm going to keep going. Oh, here's a darker one. That. Since I didn't have much paint on here and it's nice and light, I can make a couple of clouds just kind of at once, just pushing them on there, wiping the excess off, softening, making all sorts of things start to happen. Now, I'm just going to use every brush here. Look at this mamma jamma. Big old monster fan brush here. This is the number 6 fan brush, Bob Ross brand here. And let's throw in, just something up here, some kind of indication of a bright spot, a little bright cloud hanging out in here. Just throw throwing some color up. Any of these little light areas that I have, perfect spot to drop in a little extra bright. Look at that. Now this addition of the white paint, don't want to blend this all in and make it all disappear. The more I work it, the more it will go away. But if I go over it with just a few touches here, light crisscross strokes, very light. I'm not looking to move the paint, just looking to soften it where it sits there. The lightest possible touch. Cleaning my brush, a little bit on the easel there. Soften it a little bit just to add some nice little bright things up in here. So we had those dark, stormy background clouds. Now we got a little bit of bright cloud working. Do we have a viewer? Holy macaroni. Welcome, welcome. It's been a while. Good to see someone wanted to join. Now, again, using this very limited palette, I'm just going to keep using some of those same colors here. It's just a little bit of the midnight black and Prussian blue. Trying to find a interesting color, maybe even a touch of the brown. Let's dull this out a little bit. Mostly blue, bit of black, touch of brown. Bash it all in there, and then I'm going to take most of it off. I just find a clean spot on my palette. I'm going to tap a lot of it away. And let's put in maybe some old misty things way back in the distance. Something like that, a little tree. Drop it in there. And I'm actually going to wipe out more paint. I'm not loading any more paint. Take a little paint off my brush. And just put in some background stuff. This is all going to change. Change big time. The less paint I have, the lighter these trees will look, and the further away they'll appear. Okay? Now, so many times here, Bob puts the color on in one motion here and fills that brush up, puts the paint onto the canvas, and clean your brush. And then we go over it with a clean brush. This is one of these times here, Bob just literally wipes a lot of that paint away. Let's soften it, just like it's a cloud. Look at that, just lighten up, mist. Turns it to mist and fog here at the bottom. Clean my brush, little crisscross strokes. Look how it just blurs things out. Sets it down into the sky, makes it look so far away. Now, whoever has joined me, I apologize for not naming you. Normally I like to. But I've got my phone. Normally I used to do, OBS. I'm just using my phone here today with the selfie cam. I'm not quite sure how to see. Oh, there's a hide chat button. Show chat button. Oh, that is the chat. Okay, you just haven't said anything. My apologies there. I just wanted to see, make sure I was seeing any comments. Now look at that blurry little indication of trees way off in the distance. Maybe. Now I do have a little bit of white in my fan brush still, but if I pick up a little bit of that color, boy, that's going to guarantee to be a lot lighter, isn't it? Maybe some distant trees, different style trees, more vertical looking trees way back in the distance. I'm going to crisscross those and blur those out. Ooh, boy, I haven't done that in some time. Maybe my big old 2-inch brush makes short work of everything here. Now I come in back to that same color, picking up a little color. Now this is going to have less white in it. Hopefully, we'll see a couple of close-up trees now, and it's going to push those faded looking ones way off into the distance. I put some more in here, a little bit lower, overlapping the bottom. This one here, it's a little taller, so it'll cover up some of that background a little bit. There we go. And here's one here, leaving a little bit of that light misty stuff in between the background and the foreground. Bring these down a little bit. Something's happening. Something is happening. A little bit of paint on the brush, just a little bit more paint on the brush, immediately sends these trees right into the foreground. Watch this. I have a little bit more paint in the brush, and if I tap a little bit here, look at that. Just a little bit more paint adds a new third layer into our scene. Just tapping, finding the angle here, making trees, holding the brush like this, making bushes, holding it a little lower. Little indication of some foliage. Now, what I'm going to do here, you'll have to forgive me, it looks like someone's upstairs messing around in the kitchen there. I didn't let them know I was live streaming. Not that I do a lot of it. I'm just going to throw a little bit of color down here. I don't know. This could be a couple of different things. This could be a water in the scene. This could be shadows of snow. Or both. We don't know. I kind of know. But I'm not positive where one begins and the other might end. So we'll see what happens. Now I got that on. Now I can bring these trees down just a little more. Maybe another one right here. A little bit lower. Lots and lots of tapping. Ooh, we got layers upon layers. Once in a while, you take a step back. Oh, look at this. Well, hello there. I'm so glad you came. A lot of ads, huh? It's been a while since I've talked with you. I hope you're doing okay. It has been one crazy busy period of time in my life here. I'm still doing lots and lots of classes. And trying new things for the new year. A little bit of very thin paint. I'm going to put in some little sticks and twigs off in the distance here, if I can get the paint light enough. And a couple of strong ones here in the foreground, or what I think is the foreground. But I think the ones way off in the mist there, they're too distant to see any kind of detail like that. They don't need really any. Well, that's good to hear. I've been thinking about you, and always giving you well wishes, a little bit of prayer. Thinking about you, and here you are. So let's go ahead and make a big old mess. What do you say? Wonder, well, that big brush, it's gonna bug me if I don't give it a try. So I tell you what, I'm gonna mix up a little bit of Bob's Mountain mixture here. Break out the crimson. I know I have too much blue on my palette here, so I think it's easier for me to make the Mountain Mix original style than to use the tube called Mountain Mix. So I'm gonna take my crimson, mix it up with my blue, add some black and a touch of brown. It's always what I tell people. That's how Bob makes it, when I just pull it right out of the tube, you know? Like, Bob doesn't often do that. When he does, he mixes up all those 5 colors, and I don't necessarily want to put out those 5 colors, but today's painting is 4 of those colors, so might as well go for it. Ooh, got to get my live speaking. I feel like I'm rambling. Got to get some practice in that's not classroom speaking. It's a little different doing an internet show. Big old pile of paint. Let's see how that works out for us. And I'm going to clean my fan brush and my paint thinner. There we go. Mostly clean. Pretty dry. Big old trees. This is great for a mega tree situation. For when you need to make a monster tree, this brush will do it. Okay, so let's put in a little foreground evergreen. And tap, tap, see that? Just with the corner of the brush, I start tapping, bend those bristles, where the goal is to get the paint off the brush. Nice and dark. Tapping, making that tree a little bigger at the bottom than it is at the top. And that might be a little bit of ground cover there. Just making a couple of basic things here. I'll tell you what, ooh, this one has to get a little taller. Just getting some color out there. Working my way down, try not to spend a lot of time on it. That's one of the things I see my students try to do is try to make it, you know, understandably as beautiful as it can be. But sometimes when you overwork it, going for that perfect tree, it can kind of go the other way, and it just looks a little too much. But that's okay. That's what I'm here for, to help you learn. And maybe a couple of little trees a little bit further in the back here. They kind of sneak around here and they hang out behind the big ones. And we can actually have this tree be in front of that tree. We don't have to decide right now. We can decide a little bit later. All right. So, what should we do? Before we put in the highlights, I like doing the highlights a little bit last, but I'm going to put in this little bit of snow cover here. So lots of paint, working that paint pretty thick in the brush here. And I'm going to create the start of our snow line. I just touch and pull to the side. Back up a little bit, press in, and touch and pull. Back up, touch and pull. Notice how I overlap as I work my way out here? Just getting things started. I'm going to mess with it some more, but you gotta just get some snow out there, because you pick up that undercolor as you do this, and if you just keep going over it just repeatedly, then your paint starts to all kind of contaminate. Now all that nice bright snow that you wanted to do just starts to dull out on you. Maybe a little bit, just to show you where the land begins. See that? Now that we have that line started, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Just adding more. I'm still going to fiddle. There's still fiddling to do. And softening and all that good stuff. I just need to get a little more snow on there first. Pushing a little firmer now. You can see here, push a little harder and it comes off. And it's starting to blend and soften. You use a light touch and that paint really won't do much. It won't move, it won't blend in. It's just to take out brush marks, these nice light strokes. Sure, with more paint you push it on firmly, But with a light touch, see how that paint doesn't move unless you push and fiddle with it a long time there. You can get that color on quite bright, but leave it alone. And another thing here, I always like to say, is if everything is just the brightest color, then there's basically no highlights anymore. If everything looks like noon in the Arctic, it's really hard to see the depth and perspective here. So let the dark remain. Let some of these shadows hang out. Be all right. Look at this little ridge line we got going on. Nice little ridge of trees, and then we got our big old monster ones here in the foreground. How far out are we coming here? I'm not quite sure. Maybe a little further. So I'm going to pick up some more paint, and I'm just going to try to extend things down just by pulling a little further, adding more, not going over the same bits over and over again. Adding some more land, snow, whatever we're talking about, snowy land. There we go. Now, even when you're doing this with the fan brush here, and you go over this a number of times, you can soften this as much as you like. If it's still kind of bugging you, I'm going to go ahead and use one of my clean landscape brushes here. And we'll soften it even more. Just giving you options here. And another one here on the easel. There we go. Very, very light. I drift over that snow just to soften things. Oh, little hair. Think. There we go. Nice little perspective happening here. I tell you what, let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to take a little bit of my dark color, that bluish tree color, adding just a touch of blue to it, I don't know. Same tree color, and we're going to create some indications of reflections. Pulling straight down, I know I was a little bit angular there, pulling straight down, getting some color out here. And now most of the paint is out of the brush. Give it a quick little swirl. And now with no pressure, I'm going to soften it while pulling down. Overlapping strokes here, just pulling down vertical. The more you do it, the softer and softer it will get. Probably could have done this with the 2-inch brush and been done in about 4 seconds. Very light. Brush sideways now. Oop, a little bit there in the water. Brush those reflections sideways. Blur them out as much as you like. There we go. Now, I'm going to take this here and just pull a little bit of land and make this look a little more interesting here. Add a little section here. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. You could just put in the water line to clean up this little line where the reflection begins. Or you can take your brush and pull some snow over it and then put in water line. I think I might just do both. Maybe bring this little peninsula out. I'm calling it a peninsula here. Just an indication to break up that plane there. Don't have to, just if you want to. Very light, soft touch with your 1-inch brush. Clean up that land. There we go. Now, what I've been taking here, and I know Bob does this this method along with several others, but you can use titanium white, you can use liquid white, you can use a combination, a mixture of the two to make water lines. What I've been trying lately to some great success is just straight titanium white, very small roll. I tell my students, think of this like fishing line. It's awfully thin, awfully thin. And to keep this waterline straight, you always want your knife edge horizontal. Okay, and I'm just sawing, touch and saw. Maybe I'll try it with a little short edge of my knife. Touch, bend, I saw, and move. I don't know, 4 steps. Touch, bend, saw, back and forth, and just keep that knife moving. Touch, bend, saw, move. Look at that. On the larger areas, yes, the long blade works great. On those hard to reach areas, that small side of the knife does wonders. So, little water line, keeping it level. At the same time, after you put that in, not at the same time, but right after you put that in, maybe a couple little water lines in the water, give a sense of movement to that water. Little current maybe, or maybe it's just a fishy jumping. There we go. I gotta jump back, don't I? I gotta jump back and put in highlights to my trees. Back and forth, this time liquid white and titanium white. Thinning down the titanium white, adding just a touch of blue. I don't think I have any blue left. Oh, just enough here. There we go. You don't have to add blue. It does give it a colder appearance there if you add a touch of blue. But it's completely not necessary. If you want bright snow, you can have the bright snow. What I'm doing here is just a light touch. Okay, getting some paint, that thin paint to come right off with those light little touches. Using just small bits of that fan brush, either that middle third, just a light little touch to give a frowny effect. You can also do it with the left third or the right third, depending on, your mood at the time. Where you're trying to drop in these little snowy highlights. I didn't have much blue in my highlight color, so it's not showing up super strong. It's just a little bit off-white, which is what I'm going for. I didn't want things just super stark, bright white. A little bit over the small tree there. Give it a little sense that this big tree is in front. Maybe here at the bottom. Turn my brush over to the right and lift up. And I can put some little frosty little highlights on the underbrush around the bottom of this tree. There we go. Cleaning my brush. I'll probably use it again here, but just felt like giving it a good old clean. So, I think before I do too much else, I know I'm going to need more white. I was sure I put out enough. But I was wrong. So, over in my bucket here, where is my tube of titanium white? That should be enough. Gosh, I hope so. And let's put in a little cabin. I'm going to use my titanium white and rolls of Van Dyke brown to build out this cabin. Let's see how much of a mess I can make here. I think we'll see what I do. I'll let you know what I think when I'm done thinking. So, I'm going to need an eave first. Let's put this cabin right on up over here. Find this nice 45-degree angle or so. Touch and pull in. before I mess with it, I want to put a little snowy top. This is the back side of the roof. And I'm doing this Bob style here, quick and dirty. Put in the front side of the roof, the face that we can see. Just cleaning up that back edge a little bit. I'm loath to go over it too many times here. Once you go over it, that's when things start to go south. I mean, there's a few little bits, of course, you want to clean up and make sure you get that nice smooth look. And I think twice is the charm. So I do want to bring this down a little bit lower. So there it is. Now there'll be the front, that'll be the back. This will be that far corner in front. I know it looks really tall, but I'm going to clean that up once we get done with it. Let's see here. And see what happens? I always make my cabins a little too small for the big knife. So I'm just taking my small palette knife and blocking in the color here. This is just Van Dyke Brown, getting it out there. Right up under and pulling down, just getting some dark color there. I do have this side I can pull in to clean up that edge there. Pretty simple. Now, a little bit of the white and brown together, that'll be my highlight color. Kind of this nice light brown. Not quite beige, but still kind of streaky. And let's just dance a little color. Not sure that's bright enough. Let's try that again. Maybe a little bit brighter on this side here. There, that's a little more visible. This is just to block in the highlights here, make it look like old wood. A little bit more on the edge here. Good. Now a little bit darker, and we highlight this back side here. Not too prominent of highlights on the shadowed side. That's the shade I was looking for. You want it to be a little bit darker than the front, but still visible as a highlight. I want to get that back side there a little bit more. There it is. Now, when I take a very, 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 very small roll of the Van Dyke Brown, you can just touch and create some little plank effects just by going right on down vertically here, all the way across the front, just cutting in that little indication of planks. Now my small edge of my small knife, I'm going to pull a little door. Did not work. Let's try that again. Sometimes you got to stop and remake your little runway. Clean your knife. See, I was trying to make it quick and I messed up. So let's make a door this the old-fashioned way here. Touch and there we go. We can use the small edge here, maybe make a window on the side there. There it is. Now, let's get the perspective right on this cabin. Let's do our little cabinectomy. I'm going to chop a lot of that cabin away. There we go. Got ourselves a nice little cabin. So, one of the ways that we can clean up the side here is to come in with our fan brush, just like how we built the land. I'm going to build this bottom of the cabin just by pulling that color. There it is. And that'll just cover that up. And what little bits of brown might be remaining here, it's just going to look like shadows of the brown cabin. So don't worry too much at all. A little bit of the 1-inch brush, clean that up. That cabin door looks a little funky. Maybe we'll make it a little taller. Sometimes you don't notice these things until you step back. And I just stepped back and saw how funky it looked. A little water line for the door. The lightest possible touch. Ooh, that might be a little too much paint there. If you can sneak a little line in on the side there, I'm not sure I did. Ooh, I messed that right up. Just take that right on out. There it is. Okay. Shouldn't have even worried too much about this side because we're going to drop in another monster tree. Cover up that cabin a little bit on the side. It's been a while, folks. I know. If the person that just joined here has seen my painting show before, feel free to say hi. Ooh, we got a skinny tree starting here. That's one of the things I tell my students. Remember, we can always make the tree bigger. So don't feel the need to go too wide too soon. And keep this brush moving. Working my way down. This paint is a softer consistency than that titanium white, so we should get it to stick right on over as we move our way down. Yeah, this tree comes down just a little bit in front of that cabin. Look at that. Really changes the perspective almost instantly. And let's have another buddy, happy tree, little friend, over here next to the big old monster tree. This is like the dad tree here. I'll make the little kid tree. And he's hanging out really close to Dad. He's not ready to go off on his own yet. Now, here we go. I try not to fiddle too much. Sometimes you got to take a look and it's like, ooh, maybe I went too wide. And things need to get a little wider as we go. So there's a little bit of cleanup here. Try not to go over it too much, though. A little too much fiddling sometimes take you the wrong direction. Well, that needs to be a little wider. There we go. Really hide some of that cabin. I'm going to come back and got to get my titanium white here. Thin down a little bit of the titanium with liquid. And not even going to bother with the dark color there. I'm going to make this one just pure white. Tappity tap tap, tap tap tap. Really brighten these foreground ones up. working my way down, trying not to stall and mess with any one spot too long. It's hard to do. It's hard to move on, I get it. You just have to do your best, and you can always come back and add more. Yeah, get it on there, take a step back, take a look at what might need a little more. Maybe a little more right there. Heck, while you're doing it, if you want to add a couple of bright ones to a few of these back here, now's the time. Now's the time. Now that you've had a chance to look it over, add a couple of bright ones where you think they're needed. There we go, a little bit of frosty snow on those. And let's pull some snow right out the bottom here. Look at that shadow. If that's bugging you, if it's a little too dark, well, you know what to do. You can always come back with a little bit of the bright white and add little highlights back in. I think this makes like a whole new plane right here. There we go. What a fun little scene. Maybe, just for a little bit of contrast, maybe there's a couple of frosty little bushes on this side. Turn this lake into a river for sure. Okay, let us give the brush a quick clean. Oh my gosh, a quick clean. Get a bit of the liquid white on the tips of the bristles, and let's pull some of that titanium white through, getting nice frosty tips right on the brush there. Touch, and make a basic bush shape. Reload the brush for every bush, and it's just the gentlest pressure, building out a basic shape here. Reloading as you go, and you can make as many of these individuals as you like. Now I'm going to drop down and start making a new layer of them, leaving a little bit of bright, leaving a little bit of the shadow, I should say, as our separator between light and dark. That's what I was trying to go for there. There we go. Now you can use your knife if you want to scrape in some little sticks and twigs. Scraping right through the paint in those dark areas is what gives us our branches and all these nice little sticks and twigs. You can touch and flick up as well. Put a couple here and there, however you like. Wow, that just moved right along. I'm going to stick with my theme here and stay with these lights and darks. And this dark color here, that'll be my little signature. A little T, a little S, a 25. There it is. Well, let's hope my name will come up in searches now. And, you know, I really like this. It worked well with my phone. Thank you. And hopefully I'll see you guys sometime soon. 49 minutes in. Not too bad. Take care, all. I'll see you in the next video. Maybe, if I can figure out how to shut this off.